This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Oral questions, questions orales. Excuse-moi, l'honorable député de Regina-Capelle.
Honorable member for Regina-Capelle.
After 8 years, the Prime Minister is not worth the cost or the crime, and now extortion is the latest crime wave plaguing our communities. When common sense Conservatives were in office, we toughened penalties for dangerous and repeat offenders, and as a result, the crime rate went down. Turns out when thugs fear getting caught, they commit fewer crimes. Extortion is up all across the country thanks to easier penalties and easier bail. Will the government finally admit the mistake of their previous crime legislation, adopt common sense Conservative policies to keep criminals off the street?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, no surprise the Conservatives don't want to talk about the economy this morning because we've had a blockbuster of good news. The job numbers released today by Stats Canada show that Canada gained 37,000 new jobs in January.
Mr. Speaker, it's no wonder the Liberals don't want to talk about crime because our communities across the country are becoming less safe. It's a direct result from the Liberal legislation which reduced penalties. Their bill C5 actually eliminated a mandatory jail sentence for people who commit extortion. As a result, extortion is up dramatically. Get this, Mr. Speaker, it's up 366% in BC. This is extortion. People are now losing their property and their money because gangsters are extorting them in Canada after 8 years of this Prime Minister. When will he put an end to his soft on crime approach?
Mr. Speaker, it's such good news that we're going to repeat the good news in the other official language.
I'd just like to remind all members that some previous speakers have put it's question period, not necessarily answer period.
This is a slap in the face to every single victim of violent and dangerous crime in this country. The Liberals are running around telling Canadians that they've never had it so good. Meanwhile, business owners and families are being extorted, Mr. Speaker, in Canada, a developed G7 country, now sees extortion rates as high as 218% up nationally, 262% increase in Ontario. And all the Liberals can do is get up and tell Canadians how good they've had it. When will the Liberals put the rights of victims first and honest Canadians and put dangerous criminals behind bars where they belong?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, far too Canadians have been experiencing this situation. It is precisely why the RCMP is seized with this issue, working directly with local police. Mr. Speaker, this is something we're seeing operating with organized crime. But what we also know is the Conservative tough talk on crime doesn't actually create the solutions and the results. We've seen that as they've cut funding to the RCMP to do this very work, to crack down on organized crime, but we're going to be there for Canadians.
Farmers across the country are struggling under this punishing carbon tax. Melissa, a farmer in my area, paid over $6,000 in carbon taxes just to dry her grain last year. And now the Prime Minister wants to quadruple the tax just in a few years. He isn't worth the cost. When will this Liberal government get out of the way and pass Bill C-234 in its original form, get off farmers' backs, and make our food affordable again?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the bill was so important, I would counsel my honourable colleague to let them know that 5 Conservative senators were missing in action when it came down to that important vote. What we're doing on this side of the House, we believe in climate change. I have yet to hear one single platform or policy related to climate change. 20% in 2021, 20% of grains didn't make it to market because of climate change. On this side of the House, we have a plan to fight climate change, and we have a plan to support farmers.
The Honourable Member from Sturgeon River Parkland.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's rich coming from this government that relentlessly lobbied senators to block Bill C-234. Bill C-234 removes the carbon taxes off the farmers who grow our food. And we know inflation is hitting Canadians hard, whether it's housing, the cost of fuel, and food. Everything is getting more expensive under this NDP. the Liberal government. And after 8 years, Canadians know that this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. And the only way that Canadians will get the tax relief they deserve is by electing a common sense Conservative government. So when will these Liberals call the election so we can axe the tax?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the truth comes out. They want to go into an election. No Canadian wants to go into an election right now. And I will
Speaker, the biggest petition in Canadian history proves that person wrong.